What up, friends? I've been in Vegas for a little over 2 weeks now, and I have not yet been to the Strip. I've been to the Strip a couple times in my life, but not since I've been a van lifer here in Vegas. So we're gonna head over, see what's up. So when I got close to the Strip, the first order of business was to find parking. I did some research on this before I left and found out that there are some free spots that you can park at on the Strip, but it's hit or miss. It was looking like if I did have to pay, it was gonna be about 15 bucks for 24 hours, which was nice because that meant that I could stay in the van in the lot overnight and not have to worry about it. The first place I checked out was Treasure Island Hotel and Casino. They're pretty known for having free parking, so I decided to go over there first. The problem was the garage that they had a 6.5 foot clearance, and I need 7.5 feet because of my roof racks on my van. They did have signs for oversized parking, and I did hear about that through my research, but I drove around and didn't really find anything. I saw a couple lots that may have had some spots in it that had some other people parked, but they looked kind of sketchy and it just really wasn't where I wanted to park. So I drove around a few more times just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Then I decided to head to the next spot. A place called the Fashion Show Mall was another spot that I heard offered free parking. So I put it in my GPS and it turns out it was like 3 minutes away from Treasure Island. When I pulled in, there were no signs for restrictions or limitations or anything like that. Didn't have to pay, so I parked the van and I headed towards the Strip. So of course, once I got on the Strip, it was just a really cool sight to see. I've been to the Strip once or twice before, but this was my first time since being out here in my van. It's really cool to just look up and see all the hotels and signs and LED screens and all the people walking around just enjoying it all. So I walked down the Strip, past Treasure Island and Harrah's, and then I got to the first hotel that I wanted to see something at, which was the Mirage. The Mirage has a show called the Volcano Show, but it's a nighttime show, so it didn't start until 7, so my plan was to double back and hit that as I was leaving. My next stop was the Forum Shops at Caesar's Palace. This was basically just a mall, but I heard they had some other cool attractions inside, so I wanted to go in and check them out. As I was walking through, it was really cool to see all the shops that they had. It was really well put together, a lot of high-end shops. Not a whole lot of people shopping, but it was still cool to see. I was reading a lot of the signs to see where to go because one of the things I wanted to see was the Atlantis show. So they had signs pointing in that direction, but they also had signs pointing towards a place called the Fountain of the Gods. And I thought it was the same spot. So I get to the Fountain of the Gods and the show's supposed to start at 4 o'clock. And I knew it was gonna be like this animatronic thing with water and fire, kind of cheesy, but people said it was still worth going to check out. So I'm standing at the Fountain of the Gods. The show's supposed to start at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock hits and nothing happens. Then I look up at this fountain and I realize that there's no way that any animatronics can come out of this fountain. It's just doesn't look like it's built for that. So I started following another sign that specifically pointed towards the Atlantis show. And of course, as I was getting closer, I could hear that there was a show going on. So I only missed the first minute or so, which was cool. But I get there and got a decent spot because it's not too crowded because it's still January. And I was able to see the whole show. I couldn't really hear much. I know generally the story, but because it was such a big room, the audio was just echoing everywhere and it was really tough to make out what they were saying, but it was still cool to see. Anything with fire is interesting to me. Also, the entire show is built on top of a pretty large aquarium, so afterwards I got to walk around and see that too, which was pretty cool. I actually didn't even know that was there. That was kind of like a little extra bonus. So after the show, I headed back out onto the Strip to continue walking. My next place was the Bellagio. Something that I wanted to see in there was the Bellagio Conservatory. It's this really big decorated garden, and apparently every season it changes. So if you do decide to go back in a few months or so, it's gonna be a different sight to see. So very cool. I walked around a little bit there. Problem with places like that is everybody is trying to take pictures. So everybody gets in your way. You're getting in everybody else's way. So I was in there for about 5 minutes, grabbed some cool pictures, then put the camera away, actually walked around and just kind of enjoyed it for a little bit, and then headed back out. Also, when I got to the Strip, I noticed there were a pretty decent amount of people in mobility scooters, but nobody really looked handicapped. But I'm not one to judge, so I didn't really think twice about it until I saw a group of younger people, and there were like 8 or 9 of them, and they were all riding these scooters, and they were riding them so recklessly. They were bumping into each other, bumping into other people walking down the Strip. It was actually so hilarious that I had to take a video of it. but I would imagine like you can just rent these scooters just on the strip. I didn't see anything else about it, but I thought that was hilarious, so I just had to mention that. After I left the conservatory, it was just about to get dark, and I knew the Bellagio fountain show ran every half hour regardless of if it was dark or not, but I did want to see it in the nighttime because I would imagine it's much cooler. So I got there a little bit before 6, got a good spot right at the railing, and was able to see a pretty cool show. They have a lot of different variations of this show. This particular one that I got to see was set to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles. So after the fountain show, since it was dark, I got to head back down the strip and see everything now with the lights on and really get to experience it and see the Paris Hotel with the Eiffel Tower all lit up. So it was definitely much cooler to see it at nighttime than it was during the day. Now that it was dark, getting close to 7 o'clock, I wanted to head back towards the Mirage so I could see the Volcano Show. But I got there a little early, so I decided to go inside the Mirage and see some of the things in there. While I was in the Mirage, I decided to spend some time and money on some gambling while I waited for the Volcano Show to start. So like I said, I was able to find free parking on the strip, so that meant I saved about 15 bucks in parking. When I was in Caesars, I was actually stopped by a kid who was selling candy for his basketball team, so it was $2. I ended up giving him $3 because he was having trouble fumbling the change, so I just gave him $3, so that meant I had $12 to gamble in order to keep myself even for the night. So I decided to play some roulette, put the 12 bucks in, got it all the way down to $1, then got it all the way back up to 18, then back down to 12, and then back down to 0. So I was down 15 bucks for the night, but still not bad because I was planning on spending that money on parking anyway. After about 10 minutes of gambling and walking around the Mirage, I went back outside and waited for the Volcano Show to start. This one was definitely my favorite of the night because it had a lot of fire, and like I said, I love shows with fire. I just think it's really cool. I also used to work in show production, so anytime I get to look at a high-level production, it's really cool to look at how it all works and see how it all comes together to make a really neat show. So after the Volcano Show ended, I had 3% battery left on my phone, and I wasn't 100% sure how to get back to the fashion show mall where my van was parked, so I decided that I was going to wrap up the night and head back. The area that I was parked in was pretty wide open, but it wasn't really well lit. There wasn't a whole lot of foot traffic around, so ultimately I didn't feel safe staying there over the night. So I decided to head off the strip back towards Henderson, Nevada, and stay there for the night. So I had mentioned in the beginning that my experience on the strip was overall disappointing, and that is for one reason and one reason only. And this may or may not apply to you, so don't take it too seriously. But the other few times that I was on the strip, I was always with family and friends. So when I went by myself, it felt kind of lonely. I didn't want to be there too long. It was a Thursday night, so most people were getting ready to start their weekend, and I was there by myself. And don't get me wrong, I still had a great time, but it did make me miss my family and friends a little bit more. So I decided to head out, and I'm probably not going to be a frequent patron to the strip. For that reason and other reasons, I don't gamble. I don't really drink too much. I'm here by myself, so there's not really much that I want to do. So this was my first van life trip to the strip, and it may possibly be my last. But don't worry, I'm not going home yet. I may leave Vegas in a few months or so. Once it starts getting really hot here, I might head towards some cooler weather, Colorado, Utah, maybe over into California. But either way, I'm staying in the van, I'm keeping the travels going, and my plan is to keep writing music and doing what I do. So hopefully you enjoyed my first van life trip to the Vegas Strip. If you did, you know what to do. Also, head over to my Instagram to keep up with me in real time over there. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.